Chapter 8, Preparing Food. Okay. Preparation refers to the actions that are necessary before food can be cooked. Or in a case of a food that is served raw, any handling of food before it is served. Food preparation requires care in order to maintain food safety. Preparing food, thawing. Thawing is also referred to as defrosting. The health code requires that whole frozen poultry and poultry breasts must be thawed before being cooked. However, a single serving may be cooked from a single frozen serving. Other potentially hazardous products should be treated the same way. It is important to use methods that will allow the entire piece of food to thaw evenly. Any method that allows one part, for example, the outside surface, to defrost before the inner portion does, is not acceptable because the portion that thaws first will be in the temperature danger zone before the other portion is completely thawed. Okay, so it's gotta thaw evenly. It can't be unthawed on one part and hard, solid cold on the inside. It's gotta all be evenly. According to the New York City Health Code, the following are acceptable thawing methods. Frozen foods can be removed from the freezer and stored in a refrigeration unit a day or two before they are needed so that the food will defrost, but the temperature will not rise above 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can let food thaw in a refrigerator, not in open air or in room temperature. It'll be no good. Frozen foods may be submerged under cold running water for no more than 2 hours. The water must be running continuously so that any loose particles may float and run off. Okay, so you can leave it under the sink and you have to let that water keep running so that the bacteria will be removed. Frozen foods may be thawed in a microwave oven, but only if there is no interruption in the cooking process per the conditions below. Okay, so we can microwave, it can't have no interruptions under these circumstances. After thawing, the food item is removed immediately for cooking in the regular oven or stove, or the entire cooking process takes place without interruption in the microwave oven. All right, good. That's the end of that section. Moving on, chopping, cutting, mixing, mincing, and breading. Preparation may cause food that requires refrigeration to become warm and fall into the temperature danger zone. Preparation must be controlled so that the least possible time is spent in this zone. All right, so you want to do it as fast as possible so it don't reach room temperature to be in the temperature danger zone. Preparing or processing food in batches minimizes the amount of time it is not refrigerated, reducing the chance that microorganisms will grow. All right, so you only put as much as you need so the rest doesn't get contaminated. After preparation, if food is not cooked immediately, it must again be refrigerated until it is ready for cooking. Care must be taken to ensure that potentially hazardous foods are never left out in the temperature danger zone when being prepared, except during very short periods, no longer than an hour. Okay, next, cross-contamination. This term is typically used for any situation in which harmful microorganisms are transferred from a raw or contaminated food to cooked or ready-to-eat food. All raw products, particularly meat, eggs, and fish, contain harmful microorganisms. Hence, it is important to keep them separate from cooked or ready-to-eat foods. Cross-contamination can happen in many ways. Some examples include a food worker preparing raw chicken for cooking and then preparing a fresh salad without first washing his or her hands thoroughly. Next, a food worker preparing raw chicken on a cutting board and then slicing the cooked chicken on the same cutting board without first washing, rinsing, and sanitizing the board properly. Next precaution. Storing a raw product above a cooked product in a way that allows the juices of the raw product above to fall on the cooked product below. Okay? In all three examples, human error played a major role in cross-contamination, which is the usual source of cross-contamination. Food workers must be vigilant to prevent these situations from occurring. Okay? So remember, wash, 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 and make sure you rinse before you change to the next assignment. That way you won't take the contamination from one food into the other. That's all. Okay, next. Bare hand contact. Ready-to-eat foods by infected food workers have proven to be a serious public health problem. Therefore, regulations were established to prohibit bare hand contact with foods that will not be later cooked or reheated before serving. What kind of foods may not be prepared with bare hands? That is, ready-to-eat foods such as salads and sandwiches, foods that will not later be cooked to a temperature required by the health code, and food that is not later reheated to 165 degrees Fahrenheit before serving. Okay, so watch out for that bare hand contact. You'll spread microorganisms to the food. Next, what are acceptable handling practices when preparing ready-to-eat foods? Use of utensils such as tongs, spatulas, spoons. Use of deli paper or sanitary gloves. May ready-to-eat foods be touched with bare hands if the hands are washed or a germicidal soap or hand sanitizer is used? No, ready-to-eat foods may not be touched with hands. Although hand washing is effective in reducing contamination, many people forget to wash their hands or even fail to wash them properly. Germicidal soaps and hand sanitizers have not, and I repeat, have not been proven effective in destroying viruses. Okay, so the germicides and the soaps don't kill viruses. They just do some bacteria, but they don't kill viruses. Okay, wash, wash, wash. What happens if gloves, deli paper, or other utensils are not available to prepare ready-to-eat foods? Well, if appropriate utensils are not available, ready-to-eat foods must not, and I repeat, must not be prepared until bare hand contact with food can be prevented. Okay, so you can't serve it if you can't cover your hands. Whenever health department inspectors observe bare hand contact with ready-to-eat foods, a violation, and I repeat, a violation will be recorded on the inspection report and enforcement action will be taken. Any ready-to-eat food that has been prepared with bare hands is considered to be contaminated, all right? And I repeat, contaminated. Prepared with bare hands is contaminated and must be discarded. Okay? Next up, how often should disposable gloves be changed? Well, disposable gloves must be changed when they become contaminated, torn, or when the food service worker leaves the food preparation area. All right, so that's three things. When they're contaminated, torn, or the service worker leaves the preparation area, then you got to change them. They should also be changed frequently, okay, to minimize buildup of perspiration and bacteria inside the glove, okay? So those are other conditions why you have to change your gloves. May I use the same pair of disposable gloves to prepare raw meat or poultry and then prepare ready-to-eat food? Absolutely not. Cross-contamination. This is a prime example of cross-contamination. Disposable gloves worn during preparation of raw foods such as uncooked meat and poultry must not be used to prepare ready-to-eat food. Change gloves when moving from preparing a raw to preparing a ready-to-eat food. Lord, you're going to get somebody a bacteria, probably a parasite or something. Who knows? But it's definitely contaminated. And so what's on it? Next, how can ready-to-eat foods be prepared during grill and slicing operations? Well, a glove can be worn on a hand that is used to prepare ready-to-eat ingredients, leaving the other hand uncovered for placing raw ingredients on the grill. So you can use one hand to do the ingredients and the hand without the glove to put the ingredients on the grill. Okay? It is safest to wear close-fitting gloves when operating a slicing machine or chopping and cutting food. Okay? Cooking. Cooking is a critical step in food preparation. It is during this stage that we have the opportunity to destroy any microorganisms or germs that are on raw foods, okay? Cooking food to an internal temperature that will destroy microorganisms ensures the safety of that food. The required internal temperature must be reached without any interruption of the cooking process. It is important to use a sanitized, properly calibrated thermometer to verify that the required cooking temperature is reached. All right, and that concludes that section.